the heck's going on with Hard Knocks. We got Justin Jefferson in it, though, right?
No. So Netflix Receiver just came out, and I'm going to get on that.
It's the same thing.
No. So Hard Knocks, right now, the NFL has just taken over the airwaves. There are, Netflix, HBO, soon to be back on TV every day. But right now, Hard Knocks is doing their first ever front office look, and they picked the New York Giants. I thought the Jets, Mets, and Nets were the worst teams in New York. The New York Giants front office is so embarrassing. Joe Shane, their GM, you got to watch this. He's out there. He doesn't understand the value of any position. He's talking about running backs as if he's never heard of them before. They're sitting around a boardroom, and these other guys, there's like 12 guys, and they're introducing a PowerPoint to Joe Shane. And I swear he doesn't know who these players are. I don't know how he could be hired to run an NFL franchise when you don't know who all these running backs are. Like, just me from playing fantasy football, I know every single one of these players inside and out. He's learning about Devin Singletary like he's this stud running back, and then they ended up picking up Devin Singletary.
You could just play, honestly, a few seasons of Madden, and you'd have like a pretty good idea.
Be like, this guy's great at cutting. This guy's top end speed is amazing. They went around, they talked about Derrick Henry, they talked about Devin Singletary, all the free agent running backs. They get to Josh Jacobs, and he goes, oh yeah, that guy led the league in rushing, like at one point, right? And one of his assistants goes, yeah, last year. Like, you didn't know that this guy is the current NFL rushing leader? Like, he was just the year before he led the NFL in rushing.
Wait, GM's a full-time job, right?
So.
He's not like a rep.
And he was like a scout before for the Bills. He was like an assistant GM for the Bills when they drafted Josh Allen. So he's been around successful front offices, and he's just running this one. And then the best part, he gets on the phone with Saquon Barkley's agent, and he goes, hey, I think we're going to do the right thing by Saquon. We're going to let him go test out free agency. If he finds, if he can't find a number, come back to us. Like, I'd love to re-sign him. And I was like, okay, that's a good way to handle it. Right. He gets Saquon on the phone, and he goes, give me your word you're going to call me back after you get another offer. Give me your word. Like, how about you make an offer he can't refuse, or this kid's gone? And we all know how it ends. Saquon left and went to a in-division rival. So clearly Saquon had no respect for this guy. But it's just watching this man who's one of 32 GMs in the National Football League just not like fumble this job. He looks so amateur. It's really
why would they
quite
even
astonishing.
Put him on TV like that?
Dude, John Mara must be regretting this decision so much, letting his GM go on TV on HBO and just embarrass the entire franchise.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. And he's talking about other quarterbacks, and they show the interviews with the other quarterbacks and the pre-scouting stuff for the draft. And it just like the questions they're asking these kids, it's really a perverse inside look at these players.
Yeah.
Because all the coaches, like everybody, the way they talk about them, it just, they sound like they don't know what they're talking about.
It's hilarious to think how many, tens of thousands of people in the U.S., like these perpetual gamblers, they probably know so much about, they probably know, there's a bunch of people that probably know, these guys' stats in high school.
Oh, yeah. They've been following them forever. Their metrics, their size, every single thing about them. But then this guy who's actually in charge of the team and deciding who gets picked up seems to be clueless. And his staff around him are like children with PowerPoint presentation, like, oh my God, you should see this guy. And it's like one of the biggest players in the NFL.
I think that's just the era of our country right now.
It's pretty indicative of everything that's going on. But he is a special case. It makes me appreciate Kwesi and Cock and the whole thing. Our team seems to be so much more professional and in the know than Joe Shane.
It's been still continually impressive. I think Kwesi has handled this offseason pretty darn well now. He has to get at least a B, in my eyes. You know, it is sad because we just had was it Kyrie Jackson? We just had Kyrie Jackson pass away tragically.
Horrible.
In an accident over the holiday weekend. he gets hit by a drunk driver.
In the passenger seat, not even driving.
Right.
Like,
They
what?
seemingly have literally zero fault in this.
Oh,
his
absolutely.
car is just tragically all killed. Was the driver killed?
Yeah.
Was the
Two
other
of his high school teammates?
No,
were
the
with him.
DUI driver.
Oh no. She
The drunk driver never does.
Nobody got hurt in her car. I'm not saying like,
Yeah.
oh, it would have been justified had she. No, not saying any of that. It's just such a tragic loss of life.
Right.
And so, especially from a football standpoint, I was so excited about him, the Oregon cornerback. He was going to be another versatile cog in our machine. Brian Flores was going to find creative ways to use him between safety, maybe some, linebacker and cornerback. His long, rangy size was going to be just a beautiful thing to watch in this defense. And, it's so horrible for him, the family, his teammates. It's beautiful watching Dallas Turner post things because they were at Alabama together. So he has years of footage with Kyrie Jackson. He's been posting those on his Instagram, and it's just, you see how much this kid meant to everybody, and it's a horrible loss that we're not going to get to see play, and just as a person.
Well, it's you never know what this guy had plans in his life with his family outside of football, but just within his own plans, I think what would have happened at the Vikings with who he is, like in a weird way, his attributes have gotten to the pros. He's never been a part of the right system yet.
Yeah.
And Flores was probably the perfect system for him.
Oh yeah.
So
Flores
it was
knew.
finally
he saw
ready
that.
to flourish and make huge impact. Honestly, he would have been probably one of our stepchilds.
Oh, 100%.
If this was not the case right now.
He would have been this year's Mekhi Blackman, of another player that you're like, next year, this kid's going to be the guy.
Yeah.
You just need a little bit of a time and experience. And then, but I mean, he was to go to Alabama, to be recruited by Alabama, you got to be one of the best players in the country in high school.
Well, you're top 3 in your position in the country.
Oh, for sure.
To be able to get that.
Yeah. And then you just get to Alabama and the playing time's not there. And, there's other guys who are just as good as you. Alabama has some of the best draft class every year. So, he transferred to Oregon, which is another great cornerback stomping ground. He played next to Christian Gonzalez, who was the top corner taken for the Patriots, or the second corner taken. But yeah, I mean, the kid was finally going to get his chance, and I think he would have flourished with Flores.
Well, the way that transfers work now is so different. We've seen so much of that happen. Like, I think quarterbacks are better tracked with that, where, you have like Cam Newton behind, like Tim Tebow.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, he just has to switch squads to be able to actually flourish. These are more of the unwritten stories with, I think, some of the skilled positions. We don't even really track that.
You don't notice
this guy.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Jordan Addison at Pittsburgh, and then he transfers to USC, and then he's on the world stage. Like the kids using the transfer portal, for the most part, gets too much hype of like, oh my God, 7 million transfers this year. But it puts kids in a different position to succeed, especially when coaches can leave at any time. And these kids usually get stuck with like a new coaching staff that doesn't want them. Now they have the opportunity to switch schools, which is nice. So there's definitely good and bad. In this case, it was good because he got to get to the NFL.
Now, on a football side of things, does that draft pick just go void now?
Yes.
Unfortunately, that's a risk that we took. You never know.
Yeah.
The possibilities that you never know when life ends. So
yeah.
Okay.
It's just
I didn't know if somehow we get like a conditional one next year. Or
no.
However that works. Okay.
No, I don't think they have anything set up for that. But yeah, no, we just lose out on it. But
there is something to be said. Getting drafted by the Vikings sometimes is not the greatest thing. We've had some weird ones. Remember like Underwood back in the day? Underwood, we drafted, I think.
The line? Not the line.
Yeah, he was like a lineman from, I think, the University of Miami.
Okay.
He went missing after the draft. And I don't even know if he was ever found again.
Still put an APB out.
Oh, my God. And then obviously we all go down to the fact of like, who never could catch a ball and was like a wide receiver we drafted in the first round.
Laquan Treadwell?
Yeah. He went missing
when
he got drafted too.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. Well,
but getting drafted by the Vikings is maybe a scar.
Well, it's snake bitten at some point in your career, but hopefully the beginning of the career is a little easier.
Jesus.
Yeah, no, that's
the weird part about it is there's always that stuff that happens in the off season. Like you never know who's going to get arrested. You never know who gets maybe like banished from the league.
Mm-hmm. A lot of shootings in the last couple of years.
Don't, like lose their life.
Tank
like
Dell,
this.
Brian Robinson Jr. Like there's been more shootings, but yeah.
Well, it's one of those weird things that it's just the 4th is just consistently such a like dangerous holiday.
Oh yeah, everybody's home, they're partying. You know, gotta watch out. You can't be out, especially after 2 a.m., 3 a.m. is a rough time to be on the road.
What so hard cut here, but have you watched Receiver yet?
I watched the first episode. They did not have Justin Jefferson in it, so I think they're saving their prized stallion to have just a full episode about him. Give it a sec. Yeah, I think they're saving Justin to have the full, because the preview for episode 2 is just Justin cooking dudes and talking smack, and I'm so excited to sit down on the couch and watch this all weekend.
This is tracking last year though, so nothing's in real time.
No, nothing's in real time. It's all last year, which is interesting because I'll get to see him and how he deals with getting hurt. And they also teased at him talking about what it's like to have a switch at quarterback midseason and what that does to you, and you know how you have to prepare for each week. So I'm really excited. He's going to give some interesting insight. The first episode was on Amon-Ra St. Brown, Debo, and Kittle. So they spotlit them. Amon-Ra also went through some early season injuries, so it was kind of cool to see how he deals with that. Very interesting kid, but he's on the Lions, so I wish him nothing but the worst.
It's unbelievable to think how they made Kirk Cousins look great last year in the other season, like just endearing.
Oh my God,
like
the best guy in the world.
Like fun, family guy, all these things with all of his quirks. And Justin Jefferson, he's going to be like beloved after this. If they do anything what they've done to Kirk, he's so much more likable.
Yeah, exactly. No, and Justin just keeps getting more likable. I mean, the other day they asked him, he was asked the question of, were you upset with Kirk when he left? And he said no. Like he doesn't.
I can't believe he holds his tongue that tight.
I know,
dude.
it's amazing, especially as a wide receiver.
And we also are like Randy Moss country. We're okay.
Oh, so Randy Moss,
if you say something crazy,
he hosts Netflix Receiver. So it starts with Peyton Manning, like introducing everything with that, you know, old school country voice that's just, you know, fatherly. And then he gets interrupted by Randy, who just comes in with a hell of an introduction. He's like, "All right, Peyton, get out of here. I got this one." And you go into a whole new world with Randy. It's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I would honestly say to Justin Jefferson, you don't have to hold your tongue on Kirk Cousins anymore.
Yeah, no, rip his ass apart. But he also did help him get paid. Like he was there. I think, you know, we'll see if Sam Darnold can get him that 1,500 yards to keep pushing his record-breaking start to his career.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't, he's going to be missing Kirk, and that's going to be, you know, you'll understand why he was so nice about the whole thing.
I guess he's kind of doing the Randy rule in a sense, which is you can be as reckless on the field as you want as long as you're not doing shit off the field.
Yeah, until straight cash homie and mooning the Packers fans. God, I love Randy so much.
Randy is like probably half the reason that they brought the celebration back.
Oh,
because of moments
so
like
fun.
that where you go, that was where football was at its peak.
Oh yeah. Randy, Joe Horn, T.O., like those dudes were just the most exciting thing to watch when they got in the end zone.
The Sharpie and the
sock, Sharpie was great. The popcorn, the pom-poms, the cell phone under the end zone.
Chad Johnson with the Hall of Fame jacket, just ready to rock.
A little salsa dancing. Ocho Cinco changing his name. There were so many great things that Chad did.
And I guess Randy going on the Dallas Star.
No, that was T.O.
That was T.O.
Yeah. T.O. was actually a bad guy. Like, he was the villain out there. Randy was still beloved until he got to the Raiders. Then everything fell apart. But
I know he's back.
Funny story, actually. So Randy wore number 18 when he got to the Raiders, and I bought his jersey just because I was still so in love with Randy. So I had this black
Dope
18
number, yeah.
Moss. I was like, this is fucking hard ass jersey. I wore it one time out in public, and I went to a restaurant, and this little Hispanic busser kid walked up to me and he was like, "What's up?"
Some gang shit.
And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "You good?" And I was like, "I don't like. I think we're good. Like table. I don't know what you're talking
Like, we
about."
don't need any water.
And he was like standing over me, looking at me. I'm like, "I don't know what's happening." He goes, "You repping 18?" And I was like, "Holy, you think this is like an 18th Street like gang shit because it's Oakland 18th Street?" I was like, no, like, no, I'm not repping anything. What the fuck, dude? He was the scariest fucking dude. I never wore that jersey again. Though? It became like a gang sign to wear the Randy Moss Oakland 18 jersey because it was repping 18th Street. And I was wearing it, and I got fucking punked, and I had no idea what was going on. I'm never wearing that fucking jersey.
I had a similar experience in the middle of COVID. I was down in Imperial Courts Watts, and that is, it's a Crip territory, and it's blue, and the opposing neighborhood is Crip but purple.
Jesus Christ! And
so, as everybody had to do it, you had to have your handkerchief going on during COVID. You just kind of picked what you had. So I bought a bunch of purple handkerchiefs.
Yeah.
And
purple
all
looks
I
good
did was
on
wear
you.
all black.
Uh-huh.
So then that was my like COVID uniform. I go to the one neighborhood where that literally could get you killed.
Yeah.
And thank God that this one kid who became like a really good, like just I became kind of a mentor to him. He's just an unbelievable kid. He rips it off me first day.
Yeah.
He's like, "What are you doing?"
Not happening.
I've seen people killed wearing that.
Jesus fucking Christ.
It's unbelievable.
Yep. The colors, the numbers, you got to watch out there. But
we
stick to your Vikings Randy jersey. You won't get shot in the off season.
We have an awesome episode coming out next week.
That'll be the highlight.
Eric Kendricks coming on. First time we've been able to have like a current NFL player coming to hang out with us.
Big name.
I think a Hall of
Viking
Famer in the Vikings fandom. I wish we could like
in our hearts.
Yeah.
Hall of Famer in our hearts for sure. I mean, look, he was the anchor of our defense for so long, the captain, the guy in the middle. Like that linebacker position is so key to the old style NFL, which is what Mike Zimmer ran. Like I love Eric Kendricks, and what a
true
cool guy.
Stepchild too, because he was one of those guys where like Barr was with us first.
Mm-hmm.
Seemingly, you would think that Barr was going to kind of be the guy who was like,
and he looked like the guy. He was a stud.
Should have been the guy for longer than he was.
And Eric didn't get the respect in the NFL. He didn't get the Pro Bowls. You know, he was in the Bobby Wagner era, but like he wasn't out there. You know, he never got the credit on the wider scale that he deserved.
But the stats started to rack up.
Oh, he was
where
great.
You're watching the game, you're like Kendricks.
And he didn't miss time. And at a time where people get hurt so often, he was not missing games. He was out there. He was playing his all. High motor guy. Absolutely loved him.
And he's far from done. Obviously, he went to the Cowboys this season, so we talked about that a little bit. But will forever live in Vikings fandom of like that blitzing threat of when him and Barr are creeping the line. There's probably not more of an exciting time watching defense. In
not
our
since
era
John
of the
Randall.
Vikings.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean that defense was absolutely stacked, and he was the centerpiece of the whole thing, calling out the plays. You know,
this is a funny
watching
episode.
Him drop back in coverage. Really fun episode.
I think that's all we got.
Yeah.